Welcome viewers, today we are going to build and talk about HMS Ark Royal 91, a WW2 aircraft carrier that proved how vital aircraft are to modern naval strategies that today no navy worth mentioning if they don't have at least one of these true masters of the sea in their fleet. So let's weigh anchor and full steam ahead for a ride on the open seas. Hope you don't get seasick, the North Atlantic can get a bit choppy. This kit is A04208V HMS Ark Royal in 1/600 scale from Airfix's Vintage Classic range. As with all vintage classic sets, these are reboxed and rebranded kits from Airfix's archives. These molds were originally made in 1966, the box art was painted by Roy Cross in the same year. There are 171 parts, one paint scheme, with no decals and has a skill level of 3. This 1/600 scale model is rather big, at nearly 30 centimeters long. It does have serious presence once it is together. And it's the getting it together is where the problems start. The fitment is really not the best and isn't easy to fix like with a smaller model such as a tank or plane. The amount of flash, the excess plastic tags that form during molding, is crazy and a chore to remove. The instructions are also very unclear and convoluted. When it comes to painting, an airbrush is pretty much essential, or investing in spray cans. A lot of very flat surfaces that if you tried to brush paint would lead to a streaky finish. I, personally, didn't enjoy this one. It was a chore. Lots of small parts that don't have the biggest contact points for gluing and lots of flash to clean up. The flight deck was too long to line up with its contact points. The hull halves didn't line up properly and took a lot longer to stick together than they should have. Technical specifications. Type: aircraft carrier. Class: Ark Royal aircraft carrier. Ordered: 1934. Laid down: the 16th of September 1935. Launched: the 13th of April 1937. Commissioned: the 16th of December 1938. Pennant number 91. Sunk: the 14th of November 1941. Displacement: 22,000 long tons, standard. 27,270 long tons, deep load. Length: 240 meters. Beam: 28.9 meters. Draft: 8.5 meters. Engines: 6X Admiralty 3 drum boilers. Power: 102,000 shaft horsepower. Number of propellers: 3. Top speed: 30 knots, 35 miles per hour. Range: 8,700 miles at 20 knots, 23 miles per hour. Crew complement: 1580 officers and ratings. Armament: 8X twin 4.5-inch guns. 4X quad 2-pound AA guns. 8X quad 50 caliber AA guns. Armor: belt 4.5 inches. Deck 3.5 inches. Aircraft capacity: 72 max. 50 to 60 actual. Aircraft flown: Swordfish, torpedo bomber. Skewers, dive bombers. Fulmars, fighter reconnaissance. Aviation facilities: 2X steam catapults. HMS Ark Royal was ordered in 1934 and designed to fit within the weight restrictions laid out within the Washington Naval Treaty, which limited carriers to 23,000 long tons. Ark Royal was built by Camel Laird in Birkenhead, England in September 1935. She was fully completed in December 1938. She was the first carrier to have the flight deck and 2 hangar decks as integrated parts of the hull, not as add-on to or part of the superstructure, and could hold a large number of aircraft. HMS Ark Royal operated at a time that saw the rise of naval air power. Tactics were developed and refined on her during this time period. HMS Ark Royal's service wasn't the longest, but she was in the thick of the action for all of it. From the outset of the war, German U-boats were moved into the North Atlantic so they could intercept British shipping interests. Within hours of Britain and France declaring war on Germany, the SS Athenia was torpedoed and sunk by U-30. She was the first of over 65,000 tons shipping sunk by U-boats in the first week of the conflict. Ark Royal was assigned to hunter-killer groups to tackle the U-boat threat in an area of the Atlantic referred to as the Western Approaches. She and a flotilla of destroyers and anti-submarine escort ships put to sea to hunt down U-boats in this area. While focused on the crippling of supply ships, An aircraft carrier is a very tempting target for a U-boat captain. Ark Royal received a distress call from SS Thanet Head being pursued by U-30 on the surface. Ark Royal launched aircraft to assist the Thanet Head some 200 nautical miles, 230 miles, away. Ark Royal was spotted by U-39 and it fired 2 torpedoes at her. Lookout spotted the trails in the water and Ark Royal turned into her attacker, dodging the incoming torpedoes. Her escorts pounced. 3 F-class destroyers began dropping depth charges on U-39, forcing it to the surface. The U-boat crew abandoned ship before it sank. The first U-boat of the war to be sunk in combat. Back with the SS Thanet Head, Ark Royal skuas found the merchant ship in the hands of a German boarding party. They attacked U-30, diving bombing it and losing 2 aircraft in the process, caught in the explosion of their own bomb blasts. U-30 evacuated its boarding party and rescued the pilots of the crashed aircraft. The observers sadly didn't survive the crashes, torpedoed the Thanet Head and made its escape. Ark Royal returned to base at Loch U where she was inspected by Winston Churchill. The sinking of U-39 was a major boost to morale, but the loss of HMS Courageous on the 17th of September 1939 convinced the Royal Navy that carrier-led hunter-killer groups were too high a risk and stopped them. Later in September 1939, Ark Royal went on a rescue mission to aid the stricken submarine Spearfish, damaged by enemy battleships in the Kattegat off the Danish coast. She and the battleships HMS Nelson and HMS Rodney were spotted by German aircraft. Ark Royal launched 3 aircraft to intercept, successfully shooting 1 down, credited as the Navy's first air-to-air kill. In response, the German Luftwaffe dispatched 4 Ju-88 bombers to knock her out. 3 were turned away by heavy anti-aircraft fire, 1 managed to drop a 1,000 kilograms bomb. Ark Royal turned hard. The bomb missed, hitting the water just 30 meters off her starboard bow, sending a huge spout of water over her. The bomber pilots couldn't confirm if they scored a hit or not. A reconnaissance flight spotted the 2 battleships, but not Ark Royal. Thus, assuming she had been sunk, the German propaganda machine went to work bragging about sinking a ship that was perfectly fine. Before any lasting damage could be done, Churchill reassured President Roosevelt that Ark Royal was perfectly intact and invited the American naval attaché to see her in dock. Churchill also instructed the Royal Navy attaché in Rome to tell the Italian government that she was also fine. This well and truly left the German propagandists with egg on their face. Ark Royal was then dispatched to hunt the Kriegsmarine ship the Admiral Graf Spee, a commerce raider, off the African coast. Her and HMS Renown operated out of Freetown in Sierra Leone. After some months hunting the Spee down, the Royal Navy tracked her to Montevideo, Uruguay, repairing damage suffered during the Battle of the River Plate. Only snag, Ark Royal and Renown were 36 hours away and wouldn't make it in time to aid the ships outside the harbour. So enter one of the most devastating weapons in the British military's arsenal: shenanigans. A bright naval attaché came up with a plan to make it seem the 2 capital ships were already on top of the German warship. They put in an order for fuel at Buenos Aires, only 140 miles west of where the Spee was, and leaked this to the press. The leak made its way to the Spee's captain, who decided to scuttle the Spee. Ark Royal returned home and was meant to conduct exercises in the Mediterranean Sea, but was redeployed to assist in repelling the invasion of Norway in April 1940. Ark Royal took up position 120 nautical miles off the Norwegian coast, providing air cover for other Navy ships and striking enemy ships and shore-based targets. This was the first time carriers had been given the primary mission of using its planes to protect other warships. She avoided another bombing raid from Luftwaffe bombers flying out of Norway during this campaign as well. By the end of April, it was obvious that Norway was lost to the Allies. Ark Royal was withdrawn from the area, covering other warships as she did so. In late June 1940, Ark Royal arrived in Gibraltar along with HMS Hood and 3 destroyers and assigned to a new group. Her fighters provided targeting information on the French fleet at Mers el Keba, which was destroyed to prevent it falling under Axis control. For the remainder of 1940, Ark Royal supported operations against Italian forces and escorting convoys to Alexandria and the heavily besieged Malta. February 1941 Ark Royal was tasked with hunting the enemy battleships Scharnhorst and Gneisenau in the North Atlantic. The German warships, however, slipped through her grasp. A radio malfunction caused her to lose sight of them, and once that was repaired they were found again, but a catapult failure resulted in a Swordfish aircraft to crash into the sea right in front of her. Unable to alter course, she ran right over the crash site. As the depth charge on the plane detonated, she had to return to port for repairs. After repairs, she went back to guarding convoys to Malta and North Africa. This continued through March, April, and into May 1941. Desperate to get supplies and reinforcements through to stop Rommel's push towards the Suez Canal. On the 8th of May, all 12 of Ark Royal's Fulmar fighters took to skies to repel 50 Italian aircraft. With assistance from radar tracking and anti-air fire, they succeeded with the total loss of 2 aircraft and 3 more damaged. Then followed an attack 38 German aircraft. The 7 remaining Fulmars took off and drove them off as well. She had made it through these attacks and another on the 12th of May while returning to Gibraltar. After the sinking of HMS Hood by the Bismarck on the 18th of May 1941, Ark Royal and other ships were dispatched to sink the pride of the German fleet. After a searching for several days, an Ark Royal Swordfish spotted the Bismarck and began to shadow it. The home fleet was mobilized to intercept, but they were too far away. They wouldn't catch up in time before the Bismarck would be in range of Luftwaffe aircraft flying out of Normandy, France. 15 Swordfish were loaded up with torpedoes and sent to slow the Bismarck down. There was a slight mishap when the pilots mistook HMS Sheffield for the Bismarck and lobbed their payloads at her. Fortunately, thanks to faulty fuses and some dodging, the Sheffield survived unscathed, with an apology. After rearming with more reliable fuses in fresh torpedoes, the Swordfish took off and tried again, this time crippling the Bismarck. 2 torpedoes struck forward of the engine room and 1 hit the steering compartment on the starboard side, jamming the rudder at 15 degrees to port. This, combined with the rough conditions, forced the Bismarck to turn towards the British fleet. During the night, the British destroyers found the wounded Bismarck and harassed it for hours. On the morning of the 27th, the fleet mounted a massive attack, finally sinking the Bismarck at 10:39 a.m. the same day. Ark Royal returned to Gibraltar and escorting supply convoys to Malta and North Africa. Then in November 1941, Ark Royal was returning to Gibraltar. U-81 got wind and plotted a course to intercept. U-81 approached the returning convoy. A British destroyer picked up the U-boat on sonar, but it was dismissed as the propeller from a nearby destroyer. 1 minute later, Ark Royal was struck amidships, in between the fuel and bomb dumps, directly below the bridge. 1 crewman died from the impact. The torpedo blasted a hole 40 meters by 9 meters in the hull on the starboard side below the waterline. It damaged or destroyed countless vital systems. She was dead in the water. Crews tried to conduct damage control to save the ship. Flooding caused her to list heavily. She seemed to stabilize, and at 8 p.m. a tug arrived to tow her back to port for repairs. But it was too late. The flooding was severe. Relit boilers shut down and the list got worse. By 2:05 a.m. the list reached 20 degrees and the captain ordered all hands to abandon ship. By 4:30 a.m. all of her crew was successfully evacuated. At 6:19 a.m., Ark Royal finally capsized and sank. With the loss of only 1 crew member, able seaman Edward Mitchell, aged 44. Her luck had finally ran out. Her wreck was found in 2002. She is 2 main pieces, about 35 miles off the coast of Gibraltar, 1,000 meters down. The legacy of HMS Ark Royal 91 has been long-reaching, with 2 successors bearing the name of Ark Royal. R09 was an audacious class carrier and housed F4 Phantoms, Sea Vixens, and Buccaneers. Decommissioned in February 1979. R07 was an invincible class carrier. She had the iconic ski jump flight deck and housed Harrier jump jets, both Royal Navy and RAF. She served until 2011, passing the baton to the new Queen Elizabeth-class supercarriers in 2014. And that's us back to port, folks. Hope you enjoyed our action-packed cruise on the high seas. This build was a lot of work, and for our next deployment our feet are going to be firmly on solid ground. How did you find the text-to-speech voice? Should I have the voice and music or go back to the original way? Let me know in the comments below. With that out the way, let's put the kettle on and have a wet milk, 2 sugars please.